Hey there, creepy peeps. So as it is mostly into February now, I think by the time you're seeing this, we're like a week into February already, I thought I would talk about the upcoming horror movies that we have for the year of 2015. I'm just going to go through a list of movies that I got from a couple of sites, IMDb, Screen Rant, Movie Insider, kind of, that had the list of movies and release dates or potential release dates for these films, and I'm kind of just going to give like a 1 or 2 second impression of each. For most of these, I've seen trailers already, so I'm kind of basing my first impressions on the trailer that I've seen and kind of the short little descriptions I've seen for each movie. These aren't in any particular order. They're not even in order by day that they come out. They're not in order by which ones I'm most excited for. There's really no order. I just compiled a quick list and I'm just gonna go through them really quick. So the first one I have on my list, sorry if I keep looking down, by the way. The first one I have on my list coming out March 13th of this year is Paranormal Activity 5, The Ghost Dimension. Paranormal Activity 5. Technically it's the 6th one because we had the marked ones not too long ago, but that wasn't included like in the storyline of the characters that we're used to, like Katie's character and the little boy whose name I can't remember. Toby? No, Toby's the demon. Whatever. You guys know what I'm talking about. So this is technically like the 6th one in the Paranormal Activity series, but it's the 5th one in the storyline that we started out with, basically. And like most Paranormal Activity movies, there is little to nothing known about the plot of this. No one's even 100% sure what this is going to be about, although there is a trailer for it, so I'll link it down below. I will try to link as many of the trailers down below, but there's a lot of movies here, so if I don't include one, there either isn't one yet or there's just too many, but I'll definitely include the one for Paranormal Activity 5 down there. You guys can check that out. I'm kind of excited for it. I really liked the first two, and then after that it kind of got, you know, regurgitated a little bit, like the same kind of tricks and all that. So I guess we'll see how this one goes. The trailer looks quite scary, so. Next one on my list is Amityville: The Awakening, which doesn't have a set release date yet, but the trailer, it just looks like kind of not a remake of the original. It just looks like kind of like a modern, like where the house is now, kind of, because the last real kind of like Amityville story we had was the Ryan Reynolds, which was a remake of the original film, but this one is just kind of like, it looks like modern day, kind of like the next family that moves in or something like that. So I mean, it looks alright. I don't know. I don't know that I'm too excited for that one or I expect much out of it. Hold on, my puppy wants inside now. I love chewy sticks because they will occupy any dog for a good amount of time. Where was I? Oh yeah, okay. Amityville: Awakening. The next film I have on my list is 31, which is a crowd-funded Rob Zombie film. According to Screen Rant, an article I saw on Screen Rant, it's completely crowd-funded and it's done, and none of the cast or crew has been announced, although we assume Sherry Moon Zombie is going to be in it. But Zombie is just waiting on somebody to distribute his film, basically. It just lacks distribution, but it's done. So there's no release date for it yet, but the article also said Rob Zombie promises it's going to be his most gruesome film yet, so, which makes me equal parts uneasy and excited, because if it's any more gruesome than his previous films, then it's going to be very, very intense for sure. And it's about clowns. there's no really trailer for it. Like, it doesn't show you any of the plot. It's just some scary clown images. But it's sort of like a game show type thing that people have to basically compete for their lives against like killer clowns. Something like that. It involves very scary looking clowns. All right, the next one this is, when I was compiling this list, this is the first I heard of this movie. I haven't seen anything for it, like trailer or anything. But it's called Cooties, which is a zombie film, like a zombie outbreak, zombie apocalypse film, but it's centered around like elementary school kids, so hence the name Cooties. There's no release date for it yet, but it screened at last year's Sundance Film Festival. So not 2015 Sundance, it was 2014 Sundance. And I think this one, I think the article on Screen Rant said it's just waiting on basically some distribution as well. So it looks really funny. It has Rainn Wilson in it. I think I saw Ed Helms in the kind of picture with the article as well. So it looks really funny. Okay, the next one I have on my list comes out on June 5th. If you've been to any kind of horror or thriller movie recently, you've probably already seen the trailer for Insidious Chapter 3, which is going to be a, like, kind of like a prequel, but it doesn't involve the family that we're used to. So no Patrick Wilson, no Rose Byrne. There's no Patrick Wilson in it. I don't know if I want to watch it. But it's basically, we're going back in time with Elise Rayner, who is played by Lynn Shay. She's kind of like the medium ghost whisperer kind of thing in the first two Insidious. And the plot description says it's going back to the time where she first kind of decided she was going to use her powers for this, like to help others. And so it looks quite creepy. I don't know. I wasn't impressed really by the first Insidious, but I liked the second one a lot, which I don't know if that's weird to like the sequel more, but I like the second one a lot. So basically Insidious Chapter 3 has like a 50-50 chance with me. The next one on my list comes out on October 2nd, and it's starring James McAvoy and Daniel Radcliffe. It's Victor Frankenstein, which despite the title is actually going to be from Igor's point of view. Igor is going to be played by Daniel Radcliffe, and James McAvoy is going to be Victor Frankenstein. And I didn't really see a lot about the plot. I assume it's going to be basically the plot that we're used to, maybe. Like, you know, Frankenstein plot. We'll see though. I am quite excited for this actually. And on November 27th, we have another holiday themed horror movie, which there's not a lot of, but every now and then we get a holiday themed horror movie. And this one I'm really excited for. Not only because of the director, but because of the subject matter. It's Krampus. I think that's how you say the name. I feel like that's wrong because Krampus sounds like the demon that visits women once a month, but if I'm pronouncing it wrong, somebody please correct me down below. I'm going to keep calling it Krampus. Krampus is like this alpine holiday demon or something from what I remember reading about it. It's basically kind of like the tactic used to scare kids into being good every year for presents and stuff. If they're not good, Krampus is going to come, like, I don't know, do something really scary, like eat them or take them away or something. I can't remember exactly what the mythology is on that. But it's basically going to be a movie centered around that, and part of the reason why I'm really excited for this is because it's directed by Michael Dougherty, who directed Trick or Treat, which is one of my favorite scary movies. I love that movie, so I'm really excited to see Krampus. Really, it sounds like it sounds like a period thing. Okay, and this one I threw on my list randomly, even though it technically already came out, but I haven't seen anything for it. It's, I don't know how you pronounce it, Rec? Like, you know, like record Rec for Apocalypse. I've actually never seen any of those movies. I actually went to go watch the first one because it had been on Netflix for the longest time, and then of course when I go to watch it, it's not on there anymore. All they had was the third one, I think. So if any of you out there have seen the Rec series, hopefully that's what you that's what you guys call it. It's called Rec, right? Please make a case for it down below, because I'm still kind of wishy-washy on whether or not I want to watch it, but I feel like I hear a lot of good things about the series. So somebody make a case for it down below, please, if you've seen it, or against it, if I shouldn't waste my time watching it. All right, this next one on my list, I'm way excited for, and I think there's a lot of people excited for this. It Follows, which is basically gonna be like just a huge metaphor for sexually transmitted diseases and rape, probably. It just looks awesome. It's basically about this girl who, well, it's about like a demon or an entity. I'm not really sure what the it is, if it's like a ghost kind of thing or if it's like an actual monster. It basically attaches itself to a person and like is coming after this person, and the only way to get rid of it is to pass it on to somebody else, hence like the metaphor for sexually transmitted diseases. So from what I get from the trailer, a girl is like on a night out with somebody, and then it turns out she ends up like tied up, and then the guy's basically like forcing himself on her so he can pass it on to her. So the movie is going to follow our main character as, I'm sure, she debates within herself whether or not to face it head on and try and fight it, or ultimately pass it on to somebody else. It looks really exciting. There's no release date for it yet, but I will be waiting on the edge of my seat to figure out when this movie comes out, because I'm way excited for it. All right, and on October 16th of this year, we have a new Guillermo del Toro movie coming out, Crimson Peak, which is starring Mia... I'm gonna have to put her name right here because I don't remember what her last name is. It's kind of a complicated one. She was in Alice in Wonderland, Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland, and she was in Stoker, that movie. It also has Tom Hiddleston in it, which, who's excited for that. I actually saw pictures of him dressed for the movie, and I didn't realize what it was for. Like, I saw pictures for it ages ago. They were filming in Canada, I think. And I was wondering what that movie was for, and now I've seen the pictures. I'm like, okay, I get it. All right, this next one on my list is the next one on this entire list that's going to premiere. It's The Lazarus Effect with, what's her name? Olivia, is her name Olivia? Olivia Wilde? Is that her name? I don't know why I've seen her in a million things. I don't know why I'm blanking on her name right now. I'm pretty sure it's her name. I don't know why I'm confused about that. But it's the one I'm sure you guys have seen the previews for as well. A group of scientists find a way to bring the dead back to life. And of course, somebody uses it on a human, and it has very, very bad effects. So I'm excited for it. I'm probably gonna go see it, and I'm not expecting a whole lot though. This next one I've seen a lot of stuff for already, and I was reading stuff about it before it was called Unfriended. When I first heard about it, I think it was still called Cyberspace or something like that. It's coming out on April 17th, and it basically is going to be a play on like kind of like this generation of young people, how we're used to a lot of online social media type things. It's going to deal with kind of like cyberbullying and stuff like that. And the whole movie is set on a computer screen. Like the whole thing is going to be like we're on a computer screen, which might get boring, but if you think about it, our generation, we spend hours looking at a computer screen anyway, so it can't be that bad. I'm kind of excited for it. I'm mostly excited to see how they keep it exciting, since they've limited themselves to this set, basically. You know, they've limited themselves to a computer screen, so there are very limited things you can show. Like there are just some things, like if you tried to show what happens to a character or how they die, there's a limited number of ways to do that while it still makes sense. So I'm excited for that one. This next one comes out on July 24th, and I really don't know anything about it. I don't even know if this is a correct release date or anything. It's a Poltergeist remake. And from what I understand, it's just a remake of the original story. So I don't know anything about who's directing it, who's in it. So if I am misinformed and this movie is not coming out or anything, it looked a little sketchy, me looking it up. I really didn't see anything for it. So I don't know if they're just being mysterious and keeping it all under wraps, or it's just a rumor flying around that they're remaking it. So somebody correct me down below if I'm wrong. But I guess I'm excited for it. I don't know. I feel like I can't be the only one that's wishy-washy about remakes, right? Because a lot of the times you watch it, it's like you just shouldn't have messed with the original, basically. So I guess we'll see how that goes. The last one I have on my list comes out October 21st, and it is the sequel to Sinister. And since it's not a prequel or anything, it will be completely new characters, if you remember the end to the first one. And that's all I really know about it. It's just a new family that I'm sure is going to move into a house that's marked for death. And I guess I'm excited for it. I quite liked the first Sinister. I thought it had a really creative plot and a creative monster, something I'd never seen before, who was very scary looking. And those videotapes were terrifying.